This is something I've been looking forward to turning for quite a little while. It's Bradford Pear. I've never had the opportunity to turn it. I understand it turns nicely. And it's going to be a live edge turning, only the live edge will be just around the side rather than on the top. So I'm going to turn away everything down this way and leave, I don't know how much, we'll find out, 1/2 inch, 3/8 of an inch, I don't know, whatever looks good around the top edge, and then put a bowl in the middle. You can see I've already measured and drilled a hole for my woodworm screw. This comes to us from our good friend Dave at Calmwood Creations. Let's get over here to the lathe. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or as we like to say here at Shady Acres Wood Shop, howdy. You know, I've watched a lot of wood turning videos in my time. That's how I learned to be a wood turner, is watching YouTube videos. And there's something, this is such a small thing, and it won't apply to everybody, and I'm sorry about that. But there's one thing that I always thought was so cool, and I wanted to be able to do it. You need a low speed. You need to be able to turn your lathe at a low speed. I'd say under 100 RPM, because you can hurt yourself. Typically the way I take it, when my piece is larger than this and it's awkward and it's, you know, odd shaped, I'll take this up here and I'll just start turning it on. Now some people have a big hand wheel over here on the outboard side of the headstock, and they can just hold the piece here and turn that large hand wheel. Well, my hand wheel is about 1.5 inches, 2 inches in diameter, and you just can't get enough leverage to turn it on here. But what I can do is spin my lathe slowly. So this is one of the first things I ever did when I got this lathe. I thought it was going to be so cool. And I put it up here and I just pushed it on there. Now the advantage to this is you can get it straighter. When you got a big awkward piece and you're turning it on and you're at an angle like this, and then you get a little bit straight and then you're back at an angle, well, you're enlarging that hole every time you do that. Every time you turn it, trying to get it straight on there. And you don't want an enlarged hole because it's not going to hold well on your woodworm screw. But this gives you the opportunity to get it nice and square and apply some pressure and just screw it right on there. Well, you have to watch this gap. You have to watch that gap right there. And as it closes up and gets within whatever's comfortable for you, a quarter inch gap there. Right now we got about 3/4 of an inch. When it gets down to a quarter inch, let go of that piece of wood and turn your lathe off and finish turning it on manually. If you don't, you will injure your hands. And this kind of bark like this, the first time I did that, I was so excited. Of course, I didn't have a wood turning channel at the time, nobody to see me do it, but I was just excited to try it, and I did not let go, and my hands hurt. It just peeled the skin off. It was painful for about 3-4 days. So don't do this unless you've got a slow speed. But just, this is so much better, so much better. And then let go. Don't take it up there until it seats itself, because it's gonna hurt, promise. Now that's nice and tight, nice and straight. Even though it's end grain, a lot of people say don't use a woodworm screw on end grain, and I tend to agree with that. But this grain is very, very tight. I have no qualms about this. That's not going to come off of there. So just a little information for you. We will use tailstock support for a time. I don't think we need it. As I said, that woodworm screw's got a good hold. But I like to spin the piece up and then advance my live center into the piece and let it find its own center. It just makes for a more secure mounting, I think. There we go. I'll bring up my tool rest. Now before we get started, I got a gift in the mail I thought I wanted to show you. Well, I do want to show you. I didn't think I wanted to show you. Guess what it is? Yes, it's a pen. Comes to us from David Barnett. And he has a website, keyringcops.com. David Barnett, keyringcops.com. He's a retired law enforcement officer and decided he wanted to be a wood turner. And he has that great website with tons of personalized and personalizable items on it. And he sent me this beautiful pen. And it says, it says, Master Wood Turner, Phil Anderson. I'm sorry, it just tickles me, I guess, that I'm a master wood turner. Master Wood Turner, Phil Anderson, Shady Acres Wood Shop. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Howdy. How cool is that? And then it says Shady Acres Wood Shop over here. And this is a very fine mechanism, very high quality. You can even screw the cap back on. It's just really, really nice. Really, really beautiful, and I just love it. And it's got some carpentry tools on here, woodworking tools. Very, very nice. Thank you, David. I'm going to put a link down in the description for this video if you want to visit David's website. Maybe find something personalized for yourself or for a gift. Looks like really good stuff. He has many different things, not just pens. Key rings, keyringcops.com, and many other things. Boxes, very cool boxes. You got to take a look at those boxes. So look for the link down in the description. Thank you, David. I'm going to start here on the side, leaving, as I said, I'll probably start at about 1/2 inch and take away more if necessary. I might even leave 3/4, I don't know. Up here at the top, I'm just going to start this way, working this into a bowl shape. We'll move down here to the bottom and put a tenon on it and that sort of thing. We're going to be using a 5/8 inch bowl gouge. Going to be turning at 650 RPM, mask and face shield on. I said we were going to be at 650 RPM, it's actually 750. And this piece is about 5.5 inches in diameter and 4 inches tall. Well, it's going to end up looking like a flower pot, isn't it? Not sure what I can do with this if I'm restricted by leaving the bark on up here. Well, I'm going to leave that and come down here and work on the bottom and put a tenon on here, and then that'll help us determine what we can do with the sides. I've turned the speed up to 1,000 RPM. We'll mark out for a tenon. Well, my gouge is too big, so I'm going to switch to a 3/8 inch. Well, it does turn nicely, doesn't it? And it's going to have some nice grain in there too. I just don't know what we can do about a shape. I'm really locked in with this bark up here. I'm going to switch to this diamond point tool to square up the sides of the tenon. That's good. Well, I'm not sure still what kind of shape I can do, but what I can see here is I've got a lip here and, you know, here, but I don't have a lip here. So I have to keep going in to create a lip all the way around, or else it'll just look funny. So we're probably going to lose all this bark on the side. And maybe this whole thing is bad. Maybe I'll just take the bark off the top. Maybe it won't be a live edge. I don't know. We'll just have to see how it looks as we go along. Still at 1,000 RPM, 5/8 inch bowl gouge. Well, unless it's all going to fall off like that. 2 pieces. Well, I can glue that back on. It's a perfect fit. So there was already some missing bark when we started right there. Well, I guess it'll just be a flower pot, because I think it needs that. I don't know what else I can do with it. So I'm going to glue that back on there. I'll be back. I guess that's just what we have, that's all. It just looks like a flower pot. So, I think we're done. Time for sanding. I'm going to start sanding with my Sandoflex. This is 180 grit, and that's as fine as I will go. I'm going to sand all of the bark. And when I'm done with that, I'll switch to my 2-inch disc. I got a pretty good finish off the tool, so I'm going to start at 180 grit. I think that'll be fine. And I'll show you what those look like as soon as I get my mask on. Yeah, that's going to work just great. I'll do a little bit more, but that's pretty good already. Then with the lathe spinning in reverse at about 320. Yeah, that's going to be easy peasy. I'll be back in a little bit. We'll put some kind of finish on there. See you in a bit. I decided to go with Danish oil. So I put some in a can here, and I'm going to use this little brush. This is at the suggestion of someone who commented, oops, last time I used Danish oil. And don't I wish I could remember his name. Sorry, bud. You can put it in the comments of this one. He said use a brush and put it on there a lot. And last time I put it on with a rag. So I'm getting a lot on here. And then I'm going to let it set for, I think it's a half an hour. And then you apply it again, let it set again and for 15 minutes or something, and then you wipe it off. Wipe off the excess. You know, I'm sort of scoffing to myself at a flower pot. I'm not a flower pot kind of guy. But you know what? I can see one of those little green flower pots that you buy live flowers in, you know, little 4-inch pot. I could see that fitting right in here. Set it up on the windowsill, take it out to water it, let it set for half an hour, and put it back in here. I think that's probably a perfect use for this, a perfect size. Am I putting it on heavy enough, buddy? A lot heavier than a rag, that's for sure. So anyway, I feel better about it. It's a flower pot. Just get over it. And then what I'll do up here on the bark, after it dries, I'll just take a toothbrush and buff it up real good, because I wouldn't be able to use a rag to wipe off. Oh, see that bark? That's what sets it off. Ooh, that looks good. Doesn't that look good? Huh? Isn't that nice? We do have this crack. It's a hairline crack right there. I hope it doesn't get worse when I turn the inside. Okay, so I'm going to let that set for a while. Put some more on. Wipe it all off. And then it's going to be tomorrow because I got a late start today and it's already past 5, almost 5:30. Let me ask you this. You ever shake up a ketchup bottle and then notice the lid's loose? Yeah, I've done that. And then you spend the next hour cleaning the ceiling. Well, that's what happened with this Danish oil. Standing here shaking it. Got my favorite shorts on. Got a nice clean shirt on. And now I got Danish oil all over me. All over the workbench. What a mess. But I'm in a good mood. I don't care. Well, this is just soaking it up. I guess I'll just keep putting it on, but you don't need to watch it. So anyway, I'll see you here tomorrow. We'll turn this around, start working on the inside. Have a good evening. I don't want to stress that crack that I found, wherever it is right here. It's here as well, same crack. And it goes about 3/4 of the way down the side of this on the outside. So I don't want to stress it, make it bigger. So I'm going to drill this out in stages. This is a 1 3/4 inch bit. I'm going to drill up to about here, where the knurling begins on my chuck. I'll switch out to larger as I go. Probably not more than about 3 inches, and then I'll do the turning from there. So I'll show you some of this. I probably won't show you all of it. Lathe is spinning at about 200 RPM. You know, I think I'm going to go to the store and see if I can find a 4-inch potted plant, or at least a 4-inch pot to go inside of this. And you'd think after 32 years of living here we'd have some, but I think I probably threw them all away. I can't find any anywhere. So I'm going to do that so that I can make it fit the pot. So I'll be back after lunch. See ya. Well, I was able to get a potted plant, and now I know what size this needs to be. So I'm going to use my dividers to mark that. I'm going to hold them up here until it looks equal to me on each side of that circle. And I'm going to push the left one in to make the mark. And I'm going to see if the right one matches that left mark on the right hand side there, see? If it does not, I need to move out just a touch. Right there. Okay, so that's where we need to be. So I'm just going to mark that. I think I'll just use a parting tool. Now that'll do two things for me. That tells me the size, but it also will allow me to come in here with my gouge, and I'll have a shoulder, this shoulder right here that I just created. I'll have that to keep this from kicking back, which is what it's going to want to do because it's end grain. It's going to want to kick over this way. So now I can just put my tip of my gouge on that shoulder and it won't kick back. And we'll have a look at what that looks like as soon as I get my mask and face shield back on. I'll turn the speed up to about 1,000 RPM. I want to kind of sneak up on this, although I probably shouldn't. I don't know if these pots are standard. They call it a 4-inch, but it's not. It's about 3.5 inches. I don't know if I should let a little bit stick up like this or if I should have it flush to this little lip right up here. You see that lip? I don't know if I should do that or let it stick up a little. I think flush to this lip right here. I guess I'm glad I stopped drilling when I did. Not much turning on here. Of course, I still have to flatten off the top. I don't know what kind of plant this is. It says, but I can't even pronounce it. I have no idea what this is. A little bit bigger. Okay, nice and flush. What is this thing? Tell me. Full sun, shade, what's it need? I was going to put it in the kitchen window, which never gets sun exactly. The inside isn't very good. I'll just scrape it a little bit. And of course I'll sand it. Time for sanding. Well, as it turns out, this is for me, so I'm not that picky about the inside. No one's ever going to see it anyway, especially me. I'm going to start at 80 grit and I'll work up through 400, but I'm not going to try and get it perfect. I just don't care. And then when that's done, then I'm going to use my 2-inch disc starting at 180 and I'll just sand the top. And I'll show you both of those as soon as I get my mask on. This is just a dowel that I've cut a slot in and fit a piece of sandpaper in there, and it's in my drill. And like I say, I'll do that up through 400. And the same with this, up through 400. And the lathe is spinning at 350. And that's about it, pretty easy. I'll be back in a little bit and we'll put some finish on there. See you in a bit. Okay, this is Watt-Code Danish Oil, natural. Just like I put on the outside. And it says it seals the wood. I don't expect a lot of moisture to get in here. What I will do is water the plant, let it set in the sink for an hour or two, and then put it back in here. I won't water it in the wooden flower pot. My very first house plant. I'm so excited. I hope I got one that doesn't need watering a lot, but I will see it every day, so I guess I'll remember. I'm just thinking if I'm gone in a motorhome or something. Pretty much what it looks like. I'll see you back here in a bit and we'll take the tenon off. We are ready to remove the tenon. Now you've seen me use different blocks of wood several times, mounted in my chuck to hold a piece. I tried 3 different ones that I have. None of them fit very well in this piece, but it just so happens that this diameter fits over this right here. So I can just put that over that, hold a little pressure against it, expand into that opening just a little bit. Not much because there are cracks present. Just a little pressure, and then bring up the tailstock. This is what's going to do the holding. This is going to hold it against the body of the chuck. So I'll spin the piece up a little bit. We'll see that that live center goes directly into the existing hole. So now all the pressure really is from this live center pushing against the body of the chuck. And that should hold it just fine. So I'll bring up my tool rest. We'll make sure that it's running true, but we can see that it is clearly running very true. Turn the speed up to about 600 RPM. I'm going to take a 3/8 inch bowl gouge and commence to removing that tenon. And I don't have to, and I don't want to remove this entire tenon. I like to leave it raised up just a little bit, just for some visual interest. I can see that I have lots of clearance, but I'll lay my straight edge across there and make sure that there's a gap between the straight edge, my gouge, and the top of the remaining tenon. So it's looking good. I'll just get it a little bit smaller. Now I'm going to switch to a swept-back bowl gouge. And I'm going to slow the speed down to about 400 RPM and just keep working it away. That's quite small. I'm going to slow the speed down to about 200 RPM. And I'm going to apply the bevel of the gouge against the bottom of the bowl or flower pot. Right hand on the gouge, left hand on the switch. And when the little nub stops turning, we'll know we're through. And now I don't even have to hold it up there because the chuck's holding it. So now I'll just take this over here to the workbench, sand it up, sign it, get it finished, and I'll be right back. Well, here it is, one Bradford Pear flower pot in the books. Very plain, very ordinary, very natural. Gotta love the bark. Nothing special about it. There's the bottom all finished up. Bradford Pear from Dave. First time turning Bradford Pear. It does turn quite nicely. I just love the bark on there. I can't believe I made a flower pot, but I did, and it's my flower pot. This isn't going anywhere except right into my kitchen windowsill. I'll show you what it looks like with the plant that I bought in there at the end of the video. But it's cool. It's cool. It works. Works for me. I like it. I hope you like it too. Thank you, Dave from Calmwood Creations, for sending this along for all to enjoy. If you like this video, thumbs up please, I'd sure appreciate it. If you're a subscriber, holy cow, you are totally cool. Thank you so much for that. If you're not a subscriber, you might consider becoming one, and you can be totally cool too. An easy way to subscribe is just click my picture you see there near the end of the video. Your comments are always welcome and I love reading them. So for now, this is Phil, Shady Acres Woodshop, signing off.